Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, it's going to be all about Mech Rage Sandworms, carry Sandworms. Now I've been running that setup myself and I did actually have a game, but then I saw this one in the most recent EU Mini tournament and I thought that it was actually better and perhaps a little bit more interesting. So it's going to be Narayan on the blue side and Kamos on the red side instead. So a little bit of a different thing. Let me know down below what you think about this. It's going to be the exact same. I'm going to try and commentate over the game, try and explain some decisions. But when I saw this game, I thought, yeah, I mean, that looks a lot like what I've been trying to do with my Sandworms. So, you know, why not run it with two different people? So Narayan here going to play some aggro with the Supply Specialist and a Spider Void Eye Opener up against Kamos, who is an Amplify Specialist, has those small amp cores, or SMAPs, as we may call them. Starts with Sledgehammers and Void Eyes. Goes for double crawler on the side of Narayan as well. Both players kind of lacking chaff. I guess Kamos maybe could have gotten away with something else, although, yeah, I mean, I don't think you want to buy arc lights here, so I think I agree with these decisions. And we'll have to see how this turns out. I'm not exactly sure who's favored here. I mean, of course, Narayan going to be stacking on one side, so I'd probably give him a slight edge here on round one. But it can be very hard to get through Sledgehammers and Void Eyes. It's a lot of tankiness, and the hit points are very spread out, so it's not on like one singular unit, and that can be very problematic to get through. Also, you've got those small amp cores, right? So those might add kind of into the equation there. And let's see, can the Void Eyes lock on early to some of these Sledgehammers? Look like some of them will. Spiders busy clearing for now, which is a good thing for Narayan. But yeah, you can see here, triple Void Eye Opener for Kamos. Not doing too poorly whatsoever at killing the Spiders, although two Void Eyes managed to get onto that tower from Kamos, and with the debuff, things might just change. 4 Void Eyes left alive, fighting some Sledgehammers, and 3 Void Eyes on the side of Kamos. Make that 2 and 2. And suddenly it's gotten awfully close. Does look like Kamos gets through it eventually, but awfully close round. Narayan, by the way, not starting with very much to work with. 4k hit points as opposed to the 5.2 from Kamos. We go round 2. And lots of good cards. Definitely want to pick up one of these. Kamos deciding to go for the mass-produced Phoenix. Very powerful card. But, I mean, it's a tough choice here. You've got the Wasp Swarm. Hard to defend this early on. You've got the Haste Module. Just a good, cheap item to try and skill with. Then you've got the Quick Teleport, which, if you want to make some aggressive plays, you know, that is a very nice card to have. Looks like it's going to be the Haste Module instead. Wasn't quite expecting this. Wouldn't say that it's very typical to play Spiders and Mustang, but Narayan here perhaps trying to move away from the Tarantulas and wants to get into the Mustangs with that Haste Module item. Definitely can become a menace with levels. And for now, doing a great job, actually. Those Mustangs managing to find the gap in Kamos' army, able to immediately take down one of the mass-produced Phoenixes, of which he picked up 2. And, I mean, that's looking great so far for Narayan. Immediately punches back. And with the debuff this time around, there's just not going to be enough left for Kamos to survive through that. Lots of Void Eyes left alive. One of them even there, picking up a level on round 1. There's the absorption on them, of course. And, I mean, okay. Very, very powerful round. And now round number 3 is where the unit drops come to play. We've got Sandworm, Raiden, Marksman, and Typhoon here. And, I mean, what do you even go for? Raiden here for Narayan would make some sense into the Sledgehammers and Void Eyes and even Phoenixes. So I could see him picking that. Typhoon, maybe. Could always transition if the Mustangs aren't working out, but the Mustangs grabbed a level and did really well, so maybe you don't want to try and go for that. Marksman is just safe, but I would probably go for one of the Giants here. Just try and create some pressure. Sandworm and Raiden also pretty good into the Typhoon. Raiden perhaps not the best into Marksman, so Sandworm looking somewhat appealing. It is a very good unit into things like sledgehammers. And, well, looks like Narayan will end up going for it. And let's have a look at that tech bar. So he's running Anti-Aerial, Mechanical Rage, Sandstorm, and Strike. Now, personally, I'm not running Sandstorm at the moment, and I'm running Replicate instead, because I think that the larva production techs specifically are some of the strongest on Sandworm. I honestly think that the best setup would be maybe without Anti-Aerial and also running Mechanical Division, because Mechanical Division is a crazy good tech. And sometimes you just want to run Sandworms only for the mech div. But if you just want to run full carry, yeah, honestly, the mech rage has been feeling really nice. They buffed it, it's now cheaper. Anti-Aerial also got a bit of a buff and a change, which is an awkward one because it gains 20 range, even though it doesn't show up as a melee, but it does have base range of around 50. And then this will send it up to 70. And that also includes against ground targets, not just against air targets. Now, the awkward thing about that is Sandworm is powerful whenever it's burrowed, right? Because it's invulnerable when it's underground. Anti-Aerial giving it more range means that it's going to be less prone to burrowing, because there's going to be more stuff within range of it, or getting within range of it, and it'll just keep attacking things without burrowing. And since a lot of its techs kind of depend on burrowing, you know, like Strike, like the Replicate, that gets, yeah, kind of awkward. But, you know, it's still nice to sometimes be able to hit things like the Overlord. So, Narayan here not really managing to get too much done on round number 3. As we enter round number 4, Enhancement Module shows up, as well as Orbital Bombardment and Efficient Giant Manufacturing. All of these cards could be worth picking up. Narayan deciding to go for the Orbital, and Kamos doing the same thing. If Narayan wanted to get more into Sandworm and really spam them, then Efficient Giant Manufacturing could be worthwhile. But there is a lot of good stuff to hit, and maybe he felt like he needed to regain some tempo instead of greeding for an econ card, which I can fully understand. I mean, there's the oil, right, that he has to get through. And with an Orbital being offered against his board as well, I mean, granted, he's not the most vulnerable to it. I think a lot of his units are somewhat fine, especially if he adds more Sandworms, but can be scary. Got a Vulcan now coming out for Kamos, trying to play some Vulcan Phoenix. I'm guessing it's because he's a little bit afraid of the crawlers. I guess it's not banned into Mustang either, but it wouldn't be my top choice against this type of board. Main reason being is Tarantulas are not necessarily that afraid of Vulcans. And with a Sandworm on board, I mean, it does go down pretty quick here. But Sandworms can also become a massive, massive problem for Vulcans to deal with. And yeah, you can see here, a bunch of big units, and then Vulcan just gets stuck. And you can see the crawlers work away at all the sledgehammers, getting a debuff there as well, as a flank was spawned in. And the worm even manages to survive, weirdly enough. So even though the oil was still down there, that really didn't work out too well. And now round number 5. We have, ooh, okay, Photon Coating, Heavy Armor, Efficient Tech Research. All very good cards. Probably would pick up one of the items here. Photon Coating is extra valuable, I'd say, on something like a Sandworm, because it's very hard to photon them. In fact, you can't photon them. They burrow too quickly, unless they somehow stay up above ground at round start, meaning there's an opponent unit within about 50-meter range of them. I guess that is something that you could try and use with the aerial upgrade. You give them, you know, around 70-meter range, and now you can keep them above ground, but it's a weird interaction, and normally your opponent shouldn't be having units that close to your Sandworms. Kamos picks up the Efficient Tech Research. Narayan really taking his time with this one. It is just going to be, I think, a Photon Coating or Heavy Armor snap pick. That's what I would do. Goes for the Efficient Tech Research instead. Okay. And then immediately picks up the Mechanical Rage. So here I would probably go for not the Efficient Tech Research. Main reason being, he'd already teched twice. Now, granted, one of the techs was Energy Absorption, which is free and you can't regain money by, you know, picking this and then clicking it. But he also had range on his Mustangs already, and you need 4 techs after clicking efficient tech research to make up for the card's cost. Or to start making profit, rather. 3 to break even, 4 to start making profit. That's a lot, especially when you already have the range on the Mustang. So I would have probably skipped it and gone for the photon coating there, just because it's such an insane item on Sandworm. Heavy armor also would have been a good pickup, but I just value that photon effect a lot. But have a look at this, right? These are regular worms as well. I've played some games with the improved Sandworm, which is more expensive, has more splash and attack, but it is just so much fun to watch these just chomp away at the enemy board, get through those sledges, get through the void eyes. They will eventually go down, but maybe, just maybe, you will have managed to pick up a level. Doesn't quite look like it. Meanwhile, though, level 2 Mustang's about to be level 3 with that item and the range, just absolutely shredding those mass-produced Phoenixes. And Kamos, by the way, went for Scorch, which I think was a good pickup. If he wants to go into Vulcan, then getting that additional damage is going to be crucial to be able to get through the tankier units if he just so happens to lock onto them. And, I mean, believe me, that is going to happen at some point. For anyone who's played things like Vulcan, they will eventually get stuck. Round number 6, Extended Range Vulcan shows up. Tank Production Line, great giant item. And yeah, I'm not surprised Kamos picks that up. Mass-produced Sandworm, it's the wrong card, but I mean, you can't get improved Sandworm if you already have them on the board. That wouldn't be very balanced. If you could just get a very cheap, massive buff to all of your units. Level on the Mustangs, level on the Vulcan. I mean, this thing is starting to get a bit scary. It has the small amplifying core too. That thing is going to dish out quite a bit of damage. And we're going to see electromagnetic armor on the Void Eyes. Okay, and another Sandworm. So this is something that's kind of important to do, I think, when you play Sandworms, is bunching them up. Doesn't have to be in the middle. Of course, the middle will allow you to beacon either to the left or the right on a given round, which can be valuable. But, you know, bunching them up in a, what we like to call a blender formation, is extra helpful, because that way some of the Sandworms will help clear for the others, and they may allow to perhaps burrow again quicker. And if you've got techs equipped, like Strike, which he does have, Replicate he doesn't, but things like Replicate as well, they will trigger more often. And then this kind of snowballs into a tower, and often, you know, you're trying to get the debuff there to help you out. So EMP armor, very interesting tech. That's going to turn off this Vulcan tech once he starts shooting at them. There's no range on the Vulcans as of yet, so it's not going to be the most impactful, but getting rid of the Scorch will definitely mean that the Void Eyes are a lot tankier. And remember, they've got energy absorption, so yeah, right side, just not really taking any damage whatsoever. Just one Void Eye level 3 going down, the other two still alive. And meanwhile, the middle is collapsing. The left side not looking too hot, but the Vulcan's very distracted. We'll just, okay, level 2, take down a level 1 Sandworm. But the stalling is good enough that this tower is not under too much pressure as of yet. Of course, I say that, Phoenix has turned their attention to it. And it's just going to come down to the Mustangs once again. Debuff rather timely, although after taking down the Phoenixes, I think this Vulcan will very happily toast Narayan's remaining units. And yeah, there we go. Kamos going to take around. Vulcan starting to scale a whole bunch, even almost managing to level again. Round number 7, we've got more unit drops showing up. Melting Point, Farseer, Raiden, and Stormcaller. Kamos deciding to go for the Farseer. I think here Melting Point could have been alright too, or even something like the Raiden. We go Photon Coating. Okay, actually this does make sense, as the Farseer has access to Photon, which will allow him to, you know, very efficiently get that effect down onto his Vulcans and make sure that they don't get EMP'd by the Vulcans. If not for the EMP armor, then I think going for something like Melting Point in the middle with the energy absorption tech could have been very helpful. But yeah, with the threat of the Void Eyes here, Narayan perhaps kind of allowing himself some breathing room. Narayan deciding to go for Stormcallers by the looks of it. Triple Stormcaller pack pickup, very nice. Got some big giants lined up, no chaff in front, so that could prove to be very powerful. Adds another one as well on the left side. And after leveling the Sandworm, he picks up a second tech, which is going to be Strike. Now, Strike is a tech I really do enjoy. I like it a lot. It's pretty cheap. And what it does is that after unburrowing, the Sandworm will get 30% bonus attack as well as 10 meters extra splash on their first attack. And so this is again where this bunched up blender formation can be extremely helpful. Because the worms will start unburrowing, get their strike attack to proc, and then with the bonus radius on it, the bonus splash, they will often be able to immediately re-burrow. And then, you know, the next time they unburrow again, they've got another strike proc available, and, well, you kind of get the point. Narayan, though, currently not beaconing his worms, so they are ending up kind of left and right, not quite managing to get to tower, but Stormcaller's doing a great job, and there's just about enough Mustangs left on the outside to take down the Phoenixes from Kamos. So Narayan strikes back, and, I mean, we've got a game on our hands. This is very close, 2300, 2100. The mass-produced Sandworm pops up again, saying, hey, I'm still there, but yeah, I don't think Narayan is quite interested. Nerfing his Sandworms by 30% doesn't sound like the best idea. Taking an Orbital Javelin, though, that I do like. Very, very good spell. Super cheap, and, well, with a bunch of giants on the enemy board, you'll probably always be able to find some value. I think even for Kamos here, it wouldn't have been a bad thing to pick. He doesn't decide to go for it, but I think taking down here a Stormcaller pack, a Spider, and a Void Eye pack, or even trying to snipe this Mustang, would have been worth it for the lower price of that spell. Now, Kamos instead decides to go for War Factory. Perhaps he did the math. And yeah, only has 250 left there. I think 350 before picking up the Fang pack. And we've got Aerial. Anti-Aerial, the tech, has now been clicked on the Sandworms. They're all level 3 as well, so that's a big step up from last round where we only had one blue Sandworm. And I will just say, I think Kamos here doing the right thing by picking up the War Factory. Kind of the biggest counter to Sandworms. But it is a bit far back, and it's only level 1. Kamos opting to go for the Missile Interceptor there, so kind of unhappy about these Stormcallers. They have been doing quite a bit. You can look at the damage, especially on the left there. 63,000 last round. Really insane Javelin, though, on the right side. Immediately killing a Vulcan and the Farseer that was behind it. Sandworms now popping up. War Factory starting to connect, and you can kind of see why the Factory is so good versus Sandworms. That DPS is through the roof, and it's been buffed on the most recent patch. So, yeah, this thing hits really hard. Love that animation, by the way. Ooh, tower, though, does collapse. And now, the worm just gets to attack, attack, attack. And even manages to take down that factory at the right side. With the help of the Javelin spell, just completely collapsing. And Kamos going to take a lot of damage because of that. Very timely debuff for Narayan. He'll be happy with that. Able to take down the factory. And Kamos down to 178 hit points. Not looking too good. Round number 9. More unit reinforcements here show up. And, I mean, not really anything in here, I'd say, for either player. Might just have to be... Yeah, I mean, you can't really sell either. Awkward pack. For sure. Hounds, I guess, would be the cheapest. Or Wraith. Maybe there is a flank that Kamos could try and go for. Does pick up the Wraith. Keep in mind the Orbital Bombardment is back off cooldown. Narayan taking his time. And he opts to go for the Hounds with armor enhancement. Okay. I believe this tech also got a bit cheaper. Down to 350, if I'm not mistaken. And the Wraith are going to be positioned kind of behind the Vulcans here with the degen beam effect. Okay. Trying to make use of the unit drop, which was hard to do. I don't think anything in there really piqued my interest either. But degen beam can be a very helpful effect. Not entirely sure if he's going to manage to keep the Wraith alive, but he has positioned them in the middle to at least try and avoid most of the Mustangs, which are currently on the outside. And now, yeah, we see the beacon being put to use with these 3 Sandworms. Middle one, level 3. And another War Factory shows up. How is this going to go? Needs these guys for Kamos to lock on. Oh man, look at that. Sandworms just chomping away. Going to take down that Vulcan, and the splash, the strike from the Sandworm. Grabbing the tower behind it. I think that's only because of strike. So immediately here, this tech in this game showing off its value. And as we get double tower debuffs left and right, yeah, that is going to be, sadly, Kamos' downfall. Or, well, happily, if you're Nerean playing the Sandworms. This game was, yeah, quite fun to watch. I managed to catch the end of it, so now I managed to see the whole thing. But, yeah, Sandworms are there, kind of getting out of control, and a lot of outside pressure for Nerean. I think the main problem in this game for Kamos definitely was just the lack of things in front of the tower. Perhaps these sledgehammers should have been vertical, maybe something in front of the Vulcans instead of all the chaff that was behind it. He really seemed to struggle to kind of get enough chaff on board, and then you can see most of it is behind. So the Stormcallers, when they showed up in that unit drop, really did quite well. I like the Fireseer pickup. I think that was a good thing to do. Photon, very, very useful against the Void Eyes. And yeah, I mean, you know, cool setup here from Nerean. We could try and maybe play this if we're Kamos. I think, again, best thing would have been to put these guys somewhere kind of in front of the tower. The awkward bit, I guess, is that the Farseer is currently like very far back, so getting the Photon on top of them might have been tricky, but we can give it a try. So, well, yeah, we have to pick one of these, so I guess let's go for the Wraith as well. And then, what exactly do we want to do? Wonder if we maybe try and sell this and try and rebuy it. So let's pick this, temp range. Maybe let's buy a Farseer as well as a War Factory. And then let's try and position that in the middle so that I can kind of fight these worms head on. And then also try and stop them from getting to tower. Maybe put them somewhere in the middle here. The right side is a bit stronger with that Vulcan, so the beacon to the left is more logical, I'd say. We can kind of position these guys, I guess, behind it somewhat. Maybe kind of towards the middle here. We do have this as well. Maybe let's use that on the left. And do we want to do anything else? I mean, we could maybe grab the launcher overload on this as well. Could be useful. Right side, I mean, yeah, oil has already been purchased. I guess we could try and go for some shields. I'm not really entirely sure, though, what we'd be shielding. That is, like, my one concern. I guess the Phoenixes are gonna die, but there's not much I can do about that anyway. I guess we could grab the degen beam. Why not? And then maybe level up one of the Farseers here on the outside. Hope that that's enough. Let's see how this goes. The nice thing as well here is the Wraith should sit somewhat safely behind the factory as it tanks all of the Sandworms. And yeah, I mean, you can already see here Sandworms not having a good time against the factory. Maybe it should have been more to the left, but yeah, putting this in front really does make a world of difference. And I think we had to do about 2,300 damage. We might be able to get close, you know. Are getting debuffed or EMP'd by something, it looked like, but not sure what. I guess it was the Void Eyes. And, I mean, looking at this, I do believe this would be 2.3k. Yeah. Yeah. 4k damage there in the end. This is the one downside to Sandworm. It really, really cannot fight factories. So Kamos there with the right idea just didn't really have it in the correct spot, right? Leaving the towers open and then, well, fighting worms in a debuff is a very different story than fighting them head on when all your units are not debuffed. Hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of Sandworm, especially with the newly buffed techs, Aerial and Mech Rage. Let me know your thoughts. If you want to stay up to date on my latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.